Hello and welcome to another big UC update. Today I'm joined by Micah Singer, CEO of Kurmi. How are you doing, Micah?
Doing great. Really happy to be here with you, David.
Fantastic. So, of course, Kurmi, a prominent UC management platform in the market. Today we're going to talk a little bit about yourself, Micah, and get to know your business and maybe a bit about the roadmap and what people can expect sort of coming down the line coming out of Kurmi. So, before we get into that, should we do a few introductions?
Absolutely.
Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a 25-year industry professional. I spent most of the last 25 years as a founder CEO of a company called VoIP Logic in the industry that was known. Sold it in 2016 to Broadsoft, and I've ended up working really international, which led me to Kurmi, great company. I'm looking forward to telling you all about it, where I've been involved for the better part of 6 years, one way or another.
Fantastic. And tell us, Micah, we spoke off screen a little bit about what you like doing outside of work. So tell us some fun facts that highlight a little bit about you and your personality.
I mean, I think maybe the best way to understand my personality is I really, really like cycling, riding my bike, and I'm really not a strong cyclist. So, this combination of a lot of desire and the aspirations of great performance drive me, but I'm also quite realistic about the limitations of my body in this case, and obviously things to be aware of in business too, or there's lessons.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And of course, well, let's talk about the business. I mean, you've obviously been in the industry a long time. What are you passionate about when it comes to this market?
I mean, as I've gone through, now my career, I mean, I'm passionate in general about software and just like the unlimited possibilities of software. I think there's lots of steps of evolution in our industry. I saw a talk recently about, was it telecom 3.0 or telecom 4.0? And I think there's more 5.0, 6.0. There's more versions to come, but really it's this intersection of what software can do for telecom. We've seen it a lot with cool new products that consumers use. But really a bigger challenge among the largest companies in the world is how to manage it all, how to stay ahead of all this cost and complexity, and that's a real problem that fortunately Kermi's focused on, and others too. But I'm passionate about that.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, now's a great time. Let's start talking about Kurmi then, the business. You mentioned a little bit there about what you do, but maybe you'd like to give us your best elevator pitch. For those who may not know Kurmi or be familiar with what you do, give us your pitch.
So yeah, I mean, absolutely. So Kurmi is focused on solving problems of management of large companies' UC estate. And when I say UC estate, I mean, it used to be maybe one or two systems that were providing phone service. Now it's a big sprawling estate of different technologies and systems that are really hard to wrangle. So our superpower is creating a flexible piece of software that allows large companies to automate that management.
Yeah, I mean, it always strikes me as the world seems to be getting more complex with every year. I mean, when I look back, we've just gone through a global pandemic. The complexity there with all the upgrade cycles and things must be pretty wild right now. Are we in a world that's got more complex or less complex on that front?
I mean, more complex overall. I think in specifically a little closer in unified communications, there's more and more tools and more integration, but I think some of what people are using has shifted. So there's maybe less complexity in the phone system you want to manage. But like I said, I mean, there's so many different systems that play a role, and not only systems that are useful today, but just these new tools and telecommunications that are integrated into our old tools or into other productivity software. So it's more complex to manage it all, and and that comes home really to IT managers who are being asked every day to hey, can R&D needs this, marketing needs that, sales needs the other thing, and there are all these great new pieces of software that you want to add to the suite, to the estate. So yeah, I mean, it's good complexity because it's productivity.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us about Kurmi, your sort of more about the business, your geographical coverage. Which markets are you targeting? What kind of size is the business right now?
Yeah, I'll give you as much as I can. And if I miss anything, feel free to ask me. Company is 14 years old. We are just over 100 people. Originally, we were based in France, and still about two-thirds of our employees and team is in France. We have two offices in Brittany, it's a regional capital, actually not too far from Paris, where where our company was founded. And then we have a smaller office in Paris. And actually, I'm talking to you from our New York office today in the Flatiron District. So we're spread out. We have a small outpost that's getting larger in the Middle East, and that's been a good market for us. Our real markets, as you might sort of guess, originally was France, then Europe. In 2017, we expanded to the U.S., and about 4 years ago, we had some clients in the Middle East, but we actually started hiring people there as well. So we cover those three regions: Middle East, Europe, and the U.S. And we have a smattering of customers elsewhere. Our customer profile is large. It's the problems of automation and security and cost management are problems that occur with volume. So if you're managing 100 or even 1,000 users, it's maybe possible to do it with a spreadsheet or one or two people who are really have great memories. Once you go larger than that, and that's where most of our clients are, it becomes very hard to manage. Lots fall through the cracks, and a big issue is security nowadays. So that comes up again and again. And then there's other problems, migration and movement and onboarding and offboarding. So what we found as a result that large customers really like what we offer. Our average seat size or users that are managed by a customer is just over 25,000. So it's very, these are large enterprises. There's a bunch that are really large, and then we have a whole host of customers between 5 and 15,000 as well that bring the average down a little. But yeah, I mean, did I miss anything?
No, I mean, so one thing I'm very interested in is your company culture, how you'd sort of describe that, or what's unique about that. Obviously, you operate in three fairly different but sizable markets. What's Kurmi's culture like?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I was brought on. I've been on the board for almost 6 years and was brought on a few years ago. And clearly, I'm American. I speak French. I operate a lot in French, and I think at its core, the culture is, the main culture is it's a French company. Most of our employees are French, but it's really an outward-looking French culture. I mean, we have employees we have an operating company in Germany. We obviously here in the U.S. we do as well. And as I mentioned, in Dubai we have now a few people. So it's an international culture with a hint of France, I think, in there. That's pretty significant. If you've seen us at trade shows, I'm sure you have. You see that we wear orange scarves in public. So we're that's something that most American companies wouldn't get away with. So it's a real marker of who we are, which I think is really appreciated internally and in the market.
Right. Well, let's maybe move on to a little bit around your market model then. How do you approach the market right now? Can you describe, your go to market via whether via partners or direct in some cases, if that's appropriate?
Yeah, I mean, so we sell really. There's two main thrusts of how we sell. One is through service providers or MSPs who take our software and generally package it into what they're offering out to large enterprises. They do that as a way of obviously managing lots of complexity, but putting tools in the hands of their customers to allow them to differentiate some of their other commodity telecom offerings. So that's good. And the second is really, to enterprises directly, but we sell generally through distributors, VARs and systems integrators, and even Cisco through their Solutions Plus marketplace, and Microsoft through their Azure marketplace. Are places we source deals, find leads. Generally, a lot of large enterprises consume IT and IT systems and UC systems through these large VARs and SIs. So, the logical way we've had to go in. I think we try often to talk a lot to the enterprise IT team, because they're usually really aware of the problems they have. And for us, there's the initial, oh, this will help us automate, and then there's the follow-on, like, oh, you can do that as well. Oh, wow, that'd be great. Let's integrate it to our directory. I mean, our goal is to really be the glue between IT management systems and UC and CC, operational communication systems. So, any way we can get in there, but it tends to be through SPs and VARs.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned you're the glue between those systems. Maybe you could highlight a few of your key products and technologies that you refer to there.
Yeah, so our main product we call Kurmi Provisioning Suite, and it's a really imaginative name for a provisioning system. But basically, it's a system that sits between, call them higher order IT systems like human resource management and ITSM systems that are more and more prevalent, ServiceNow, Workday, BMC Remedy, and others, and directories, all sort of sources of truth for the enterprise. And then south of that are all the UC systems. So, and oftentimes, we are either triggered, there's humans sitting in front of our terminals, but more and more it's API calls into our system that kick off workflows that say, David just started, he's in London, he's a director or VP level, that means something. I can push one button and you'll be provisioned, and there'll be an email waiting for you in your inbox that says, welcome aboard, click here to get started on Cisco, Microsoft, Zoom, whatever systems you're using. So that glue is really between those IT, the high level IT, and all the sprawl of UC domain.
And so with your strategy, via service providers and working with IT teams and things, what does a typical implementation strategy look like for you, and how are you ensuring that ongoing support? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's also something like a lot of parts of UC in flux. So historically, large companies would come to us with a clear set of very complex demands or workflows that they want to replicate, and we can do that generally. It can be 1 to 6 months installation to sort of perfect the system and integrate it with all the other systems within that enterprise, so deal with all their firewall issues and any other considerations. More and more, our goal as a company is to simplify that, to simplify installation. So as we've moved customers, and customers have sort of opted to move to a SaaS version of our software, our goal is a 2-day deployment. So a 2-day deployment with complexity, with customization. And so we've seen the numbers way down. I think our average deployments maybe about a month now, but it's been heading south and getting better. So our challenge as a company is, we want to still be able to accomplish the same thing we were doing with a more manual, granular deployment with these quicker ones. But that's a challenge, and software lets you do it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about innovation for a second. Obviously you're kind of at the nexus of these two worlds, the new SaaS cloud world and sort of the old legacy world as well. How are you approaching innovation? What's your sort of process for gathering feedback, whether that be via partners or via your partners' customers, or how are you approaching the sort of innovation aspect?
Something that's, one of the challenges of software and innovation using software is that anything's possible. And so that's what I'm passionate about. Anything's possible, but the challenge there is everything takes time, and even with AI, it still takes time to code. So really, you have to nail the use cases. And we've built software that's flexible to established enterprise use cases or workflows, and that's great. And every enterprise has their quirks and eccentricities, but really what we're looking for are the use cases that apply across the whole world, ideally all large enterprise. So we're always looking for, what are the things that are part of an automation process that everyone wants to do, that, it's done dozens or scores of times every day in a company and across different companies. So we spend more and more time on discovery calls. So talking to existing customers, trying to understand what systems they're using so we know which to integrate to. And then specifically what they're doing with those systems and what their pain points are with managing those systems. Is that we have a lot of licenses never get shut down, so there's a price problem. When someone leaves the company, we don't know that we're locked down. There's a security problem. It takes 30 minutes to provision a user, a time problem. So these are all places we're trying to innovate. And at the core of it, though, is finding the use cases that that IT person's like, man, I wish there was a way to do this more easily, because I keep having to do the same thing every day. So if you know of any use cases that large enterprises need to manage their UC estate, that's feedback that we love to have. And frankly, most of our customers really want to tell us, because that's why they bring us on board. And so it's been actually really interesting to have a lot more discovery conversations and learn about what's out there in the market in terms of demand.
Great. So let's look forwards now. Then there's so much opportunity in the market right now. But what are you looking at through your lens? What do you see as this kind of the biggest opportunity for Kurmi and yourself right now?
The biggest opportunity. There's certain things that are really relevant right now, and they're, it's of the moment, and that would be issues like migration. So migration is a really big one because, there's still half the world is on-prem and tried to milk the last value out of that purchase they made that was quite expensive 5, 10, 20 years ago. So migration's a big one. The other issue that is always in top three, no matter if you're talking small business or very large, is security. So we find more and more companies come to us and say, yeah, but how do I make sure? How do I limit exposure? I've got all these systems. Everyone's bringing new systems to the table every day. How do I manage it with security? And then, as I mentioned before, as UC and CC tools become more prevalent, and really great things using AI to record calls or transcription or meeting notes, there's a lot of demand to add essentially cost to IT. So, this idea that large companies want to add IT systems for their employees is great, but where they don't want to add is on that overhead of managing IT. So it's not about cutting IT departments. IT departments are increasingly important. It's really about making them more efficient using these tools that automate repetitive tasks.
Yeah, well, based on that answer, I think I probably know what the answer to the next one is, and that is, what technology do you believe is going to have the most significant impact on businesses in the coming years, or before the end of the decade, let's say? What are you kind of foreseeing there?
What technology? This is a trick question. Am I supposed to say AI?
Most people do.
Yeah. Obviously, in the world, it's AI. The bigger conversation is about AI. AI is probably for us as well. It impacts us in certain ways, although not as directly. In the game of automation and precision, so people hire us because they want 100% perfect, right? They want their workflow. They want it to happen the same every time. That's not AI's game. So in terms of, will AI replace automation tools? Not so quick, but AI has been great for us for developing software quicker, for developing the connectors that we use quicker. So it's really made a big impact. We haven't seen how it impacts sort of our interfaces on our product yet, but I think that'll come before the end of the decade. The more natural language integration, or the ability to create configuration workflows without being an expert in our system. I think AI can really help there. But anything that requires exact precision is, I think, is a little bit outside the realm of today's AI.
Yeah, interesting. Micah, I really enjoyed today's conversation. That is all we have time for, but thank you so much for joining me and sharing a bit about Kurmi.
David, thanks for the questions. I really appreciate the time.
And thank you for watching. You've been watching me, David Dungay, on UC Today. If you liked today's conversation, please give us a like and a share on social media. That's it from me. See you next time.